feature.
Hey guys, this is Mike the Birdman here, and well, this is a bit unusual. This is supposed to be our Christmas special. Me and Alex were supposed to get together to record something for the holidays. Unfortunately, timing just did not work out this year, mostly between schedules and the roads being kind of crap as well. So instead, Ken and Dave and Adam had recorded a special episode of Loose Cannon. I know I've been talking about doing Lord of the Rings this year, and I know it's supposed to be coming back into theater sometime in the next little bit. So I was supposed to be on the recording with these guys. Unfortunately, that evening, I had slept about 3 hours, and they basically threatened me with violence, saying if I don't go to sleep, you kind of get the idea. So this is what you're going to be hearing in lieu of our traditional Christmas special. In other programming notes, we are going to be doing The Two Towers and The Return of the King at some point when TWIG comes back around January 26th in the new year, which should be TWIG's 18th or 19th year of operation. We've been going since 2007, so go us. So yeah, me and Alex will be back, along with the rest of the boys. Me and JT have some stuff planned, as he now has a functioning headset and he's got a microphone, so we're all set there. I'm currently reading the Invincible comics, and I've been watching the series on Netflix, or not Netflix, on Amazon. So yeah, I'm looking forward just to chatting about more stuff in the new year. So as Christmas is upon us, I want you guys to obviously have a happy holiday, however you choose to spend it, and whoever you choose to spend it with. If you can't do that, just do your best to be in a good space mentally. You can always reach out to us on social media. We are primarily on Blue Sky these days. I think it's birdman.guelph.bsky or something. Either way, I'm not hard to find. I'll do my best, but I'm primarily going to be off of social media for a good chunk of the holidays, as I'm playing a lot of video games. But if you truly needed something, you can always reach out to Mike at thisweekingeek.net or feedback at thisweekingeek.net if you want to get a hold of Alex or the entire team here at TWIG. Once again, we wish you guys a very Merry Christmas or non-denominational holiday, if that's how you want to swing it. But regardless, guys, please enjoy this special presentation of Loose Cannon, and I will be back with the rest of the crew in 2026. So now I'm off to enjoy second dinner, we shall say, and let's go throw a ring into Mount Doom. So happy holidays, and I'll talk to you guys again in 2026.
Yum, yum. It's time for a tasty and refreshing snack.
You know who I can do without? I can do without the people in the video store.
Which ones?
All of them. They never rent quality flicks. They always pick the most intellectually devoid movie on the racks.
And now, on with the show.
Hey guys, I am not Mike the Birdman, and welcome to Loose Cannon, the movie review, whatever we like to call it. We like to call it the Video Store Podcast, and I am not Mike the Birdman, obviously. And I'm joined with, from Ohio,
David Denoyer, coming to you from Troy, Ohio. And I have to say, I have been duped. I thought you were Mike this entire time. What the hell, man? Like, mind blown.
And that laugh you can also hear.
I'm Adam A. Donaldson. I'm the one from Guelph who's not Mike.
Yes.
I'm also not
Mike. Mike is not here today because Mike needed sleep.
He needed to smoke some of that Hobbit weed and take a good rest, because my God, he is doing a lot right now. I'm just gonna go ahead and say right off the bat, I don't know if I'm a fan of these movies. I have nostalgia for them. I'm gonna go ahead and just fucking drop it right now. This will be my first time watching Two Towers and Return of the King. Now, I'm going to be watching the extended cuts of these films because my girlfriend just so happens to be a very big Lord of the Rings fan, so this is kind of also what's prompted me to do this. I'm very... I have seen the best scenes of these movies. I'm very interested to get into a conversation on this topic of these films, simply because I'm both looking for education from people who may have read the books for that matter, or anything that y'all can bring to the party that's not the PS2 games, which is legitimately where I got the source of the story mostly of these films, because I watched my neighbors who had the PS2 games play them, but also had the extended cuts. But naturally, when you go over and your friend's like, hey, do you want to watch a 4.5-hour movie? It's just like, I mean, we could play PlayStation. I can pick up the story that way.
Yes. So if you didn't read the title, we are talking Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring. We are going through the entirety of the Lord of the Rings franchise eventually in the next few months, 6 months.
Let's be clear. Let's be clear. It is almost Christmas. It is almost Christmas.
It is
Currently,
almost
as we are
Christmas.
recording this, we are a week away basically from Christmas, because
You're probably listening to this on Christmas.
it's very possible. Very possible. I have...
Christmas, by the way.
Merry Christmas to all of you. I have been blown away by the genuine joy that I've been diving into with movies, especially at Christmas time. I've watched basically 3 new ones and revisited a lot. And in that mindset, I don't understand how Lord of the Rings fits into Christmas, but God damn it, with this experience, it's probably going to be a Christmas movie for me now. And I don't have any intention at this current time to revisit these films on my own unless someone prompts them. So that's a big deal for me to be like, well, now, fuck, I'm going to link Lord of the Rings to Christmas. I just wanted to lay that out there right there.
To be honest, most people do link these movies to Christmas because Peter Jackson likes to. So Peter Jackson likes to release stuff around his birthday. His birthday is like this week, I believe. It's like a day. It's like around this time. Same around the same birthday as me. I forget when exactly his birthday is, but like he likes to release stuff around his birthday because he likes going to the movies on his birthday as much as I do.
Yeah, no, that's the best experience. What's hilarious to me, and this may be a good starting point for us all, I know that I rented this movie when it came out at our local Hollywood Video back in the day. And like, what is it, 2001? Is this 2001?
Yes, 2001.
Yeah, so I know I rented this as a kid who had not read the literature, was very familiar with the fact that it existed and, you know, what it essentially was. I rented Fellowship, which would have been the theatrical cut, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was decent, but like it didn't hit for me to the point where I was just like, oh man, now I've got to see Two Towers and now I've got to see Return of the King. And that could have been my attention span. It could have been the fact that, again, I didn't like.
We were younger. We were pretty young at that time.
Yeah, no, I mean, if we're talking 2001, because Ken, I think you and I were born the same year, if I'm not mistaken. So
yes.
We would have been what? We would have been 10, 9.
Yeah. 9 or 10, depending on the time of year.
In the same realm of a kid that grew up playing with medieval knights and watched Mystic Knights of Tirnog and like, you know. Our fantasy vibe is real old school, 100%. And Lord of the Rings is high fantasy. Well, it's like if you presented me currently, so this is the first time I've seen this movie in probably 20 years. If you presented me with the option right now to watch, I need to have something fair to compare it to. Is Princess Bride fair to compare it to, or is that just too sacred?
I would say something like Dragonheart or Lady Hawk.
Legend. Let's say Legend.
Legend's probably a good comp.
Yeah, Legend's a good.
So let's say you present me with Legend, or I can watch Lord of the Rings. Not assessing the runtimes, because that's not a fair comparison right off the start. But if you give me the option to watch Legend or Lord of the Rings, I'm gonna go to Legend. And to be perfectly honest, I've probably seen both movies around the same amount of times. I've seen Legend maybe twice in my life, and I've seen Lord of the Rings now, Fellowship of the Ring, twice. If you present me with those two options, I'm going to go with Legend. I don't have any issue at all with Lord of the Rings. I genuinely was trying to remember, like, what I had initially thought of that first, viewing and whatnot. And what was hilarious to me was, again, like I said in my intro, I pieced it together because of, shit, I'm going to go ahead and say this. I pieced it together because the neighbors that I was friends with, we had recreated scenes from Lord of the Rings via a Lego camera, like the camera that came with the Lego set, so you could film like Lego movies that hooked to your computer. To where when I was sitting with my girlfriend this past weekend, I was like, okay, I remember it's like, it's something along the lines of, when did Saruman the Wise reason for madness, blah, 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 and explained to her like what, like we had shot like to where we had dog bones as the wands, and we were like throwing them at each other in the sense of like throwing them forward, and like my friend was doing breakdancing as Gandalf in the one scene, and like the way that we recreated Gandalf ascending to the top was his brother and I held a blanket over him, and we brought it down as he just screamed into the camera to make it look like it was getting smaller and smaller.
Nice. Nice.
So genuinely, the experience Lord of the Rings for me is not negative by any aspect, but the fact that I saw Lord of the Rings but was more prudent to Peter Jackson's early work, like Dead Alive, Meet the Feebles, Bad Taste, because that was the stuff I latched onto in my teenhood and like, my early 20s and whatnot. Like that was the stuff I went back to, because like Dead Alive, aka Brain Dead, his really famous zombie movie, and Bad Taste, like these early movies he did were not anything at all to where it's just like, let's hand this guy the Lord of the Rings property. That sounds like a good idea. Let's go ahead and do that. Like, it's crazy to me to think about that. And I am so grateful now to have, his knowledge of him being such a fucking cinephile and nerd, that this all makes sense now.
Yeah. For me, I cannot stand trying to... I've tried to digest the books of Lord of the Rings multiple times in multiple ways. Like I own the Andy Serkis audiobooks. I still can't get through the prose of Lord of the Rings. It's so insufferable to me.
Because I feel like his voice would at least help it. Because, like, can we all agree that we maybe tried to read whether it was The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings at one point? Because I absolutely can confirm that I tried to read The Hobbit at one point, and I had quit.
Read them both.
Yeah, you read the entire trilogy and The Hobbit.
Yeah.
Wow.
I read The Hobbit in high school. Actually, it was assigned to his English classwork, and then after that, it was a few years later I'd read Lord of the Rings, and that's because I was like commuting on the bus to and from university classes, and so when you have like 30 minutes to kill, an hour to kill to and from, you can read Lord of the Rings in a year.
But
I mean, I'm still shocked that I read Stephen King's It in junior high, so that absolutely makes sense.
Yeah,
I mean, you're talking to someone that consumed the final Harry Potter book in like 3 hours.
No,
those are
totally
quick
tracks.
reads, though. Yeah,
well, and like that totally tracks, because so it's interesting because this year in particular I've read 15 books, and that's like the most I've read in a long time. And what I've realized by having like a continuous like kind of reading schedule, making myself read and whatnot, our imaginations are so much more powerful than what we see on screens, to the degree of the fact that books can delve into a detail that a movie can never touch. That's the one thing I've heard about Lord of the Rings, is that, you can like the movies, but like the books are really where it's at. And then in the last like 5 years, I would say, people are really coming forward to me and like, Tolkien's a great writer, but he's really hard to read unless you are really into this.
Yeah. For me, it's his prose that I just find it. It feels like I'm meandering through the actual story. Like he spends like pages of just.
It's like you're reading a source book of the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, it feels like reading a source book.
Yeah.
But I mean, so Adam, as somebody that has read the books, is it multiple times or just the once?
Just the once.
Just the ones. So would you say that is somebody that is coming into this that has no idea of the lore or no idea of like what has been laid before the grounds of the film, that unless you kind of have some backstory, it might be tough to grab onto?
I mean, watching the movie or getting into the books?
A little bit of both. So if you haven't read the book or are familiar with the source material, do you think it's easy to latch onto these movies? Is kind of my question.
No, I think I was reading the book between two of the movies, so because I read The Hobbit in high school, and then Fellowship of the Ring maybe I read Lord of the Rings as they were preparing to release Fellowship of the Ring. I can't remember. What I will say is rewatching Fellowship of the Ring, and it's been about 10 years since I rewatched it. What I found is that it's a really good adaptation in terms of like taking like the major story beats and condense. Like there's a lot of meandering. Like I mean, one of the big things people may talk about in terms of the adaptation is no Tom Bombadil, who is this character who like pops in and out for like the first 200 pages.
Yeah, I know enough of Tom Bombadil to know that if he had been in the movies, it would have been insufferable.
It would have been insufferable because, I mean, he's this character where, I don't know if everybody here remembers the X-Men arcade game where you would play Wolverine or Cyclops, but then you could like call in like Archangel or Storm just to like come in and save. That's kind of Tom Bombadil.
You had to build up your special to a certain point, if I remember correctly, and then you could call them in. Yeah. Oh my God, you just took me back.
So like the hobbits are going along and they're heading through the forest, and then like they get into like some major, not literal quicksand, but just like they get into major trouble. They get in the quicksand, metaphorically speaking, and they're like, wait, Tom Bombadil, he's out there. We'll just call his name and he'll come and he'll get us out of this jam and we'll be on our way. It's a real Deus Ex Tom Bombadil at times.
Yeah. And what's oddly enough is like watching the extended edition, and maybe it's just because I'm now in my 30s and watching these, I'm more engrossed in the character parts of this story than I ever was. And like this is the first time watching the extendeds, obvious, like Dave, but for me it's I'm more engrossed in the actual character stuff. Like I love with Fellowship, I think the highlights for me were Viggo as Aragorn and Sean Bean's Boromir. Like those and obviously Frodo.
So I've got to interrupt you because the Boromir thing. This was a really funny thing that I experienced. I have with my girlfriend. Again, I had the experience of Lord of the Rings in regards to the story from catching bits and pieces of the extended cuts at my neighbor's house and also playing the PS2 games. I forgot that Aragorn was the fucking name, and my girlfriend was just like, yeah, and I was just like Viggo Mortensen, blah blah, and I was like, oh yeah, Boromir, and she's like, that's not Boromir, and I was like, no, babe, I was like, it's totally Boromir, and like I said that to my girlfriend who had seen these movies multiple times, and she just looks at me and she's like, no, that is Aragorn. And I was like, oh, I know nothing about this. I should not be correcting.
Yeah.
So
like,
what was hilarious was the reason that
Also, to be fair, I think Aragorn says his name
He's
once.
Strider. He's fucking Strider.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
the
right.
entire goddamn thing. And like, what was hilarious though, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the show Why This Kid You Know, but they did a sketch about the lost ending of Lord of the Rings, which is basically where they're, spoiler alert, pissed about the fact that Gandalf didn't send the big eagle to, take care of the ring, drop it in the volcano, and whatnot. And I remember that Boromir died. Boromir, like that's a fucking line like from the sketch and whatnot. So that was where that came from. So I genuinely had no no personal point of declaration or any right to say, "Oh no, man, that's totally Boromir." Like, you've seen these movies multiple times. I've seen them once. That is totally Boromir.
I mean, he is introduced using an alias, and I mean, this to get to the point of like, does it help? This having read the books help or hinder? There is the scene of the Council of Elrod where he's introduced as Aragon, and it's where you're meant to feel like this is a major revelation. Unless you're like kind of familiar with that lore, you're not really sure what it means that he is Aragorn, heir to Isildur, and all of this. And but I mean, having said that, I think one of the great successes of this film, perhaps a bit differently than its major fantasy series contemporary, which is like the Harry Potter films, it knows when it is best to divert from the source material.
Yes,
in the interest of telling a cinematic story. There is so much of the Harry Potter movies that just feel like, especially those first two Harry Potter movies, where it feels like they are wearing a dog chain of just like plot.
Well, that's so. What was interesting to me from the experience of watching these, like for the first time in like 20 years, and I say these, I've only watched Fellowship at this point, just to be clear. What was interesting about revisiting Fellowship was, I had such a bitchy comment that I still kind of stand by, but also I understand, to where it's basically like, you could start this movie at the meeting of them being like, we have to go do this. If you were doing a regular 90-minute movie, you could start this at the whole meeting between the elves and
I mean, Council of Elrod is in the exact middle. I was clocking it, watching it the other day.
It is the exact middle of the extended.
But I absolutely understand, as somebody that had very loose memory of the theatrical version, I completely understand why the extended would have such a delve into the Shire and all the citizens of it. I genuinely did enjoy that stuff. It was great. It was honestly really nice to kind of get cozy into the village, which, looking at a comparison between the theatrical and the extended earlier today, I can say that you would expect this to be a lot more of visceral violence and a little bit more of introduction of characters. The most of the extended cut seems to be like Shire stuff with little interludes here and there of like more increased like violence and whatnot. But like the Shire is really delved into in this extended cut, which I think does give the viewer a experience of the safety that everybody feels at the beginning of this movie, to where when you leave it, you're just like, oh, we're fucked.
Yeah, because I have the original Blu-ray release of the extended, I have the little pamphlet, and it actually tells you what's an extended scene, what got added, and what's just direct from the theatrical.
Yeah.
And I honestly, the first half, because I watched the extended in 2 sessions. I watched basically the first half one night, and the second half literally this morning. The first half, I'm actually really engrossed in the story, and I'm actually like, oh no, I'm actually really enjoying living in this world and kind of breathing it in and enjoying myself.
There's the characters link you to the atmosphere, and then when you get into the characters experiencing and discovering the atmosphere, you really get a sense of the danger that this journey actually is. And I know that's funny to say, because it's just like, oh, we have to take this very evil ring to a volcano to make sure that no one else can get corrupted. If you're just joining us now and you are not familiar with Lord of the Rings, it's an evil ring, and they have to destroy it because the forces of evil that want it know that it exists, because it basically sends out a Wi-Fi signal to Wi-Fi available when it's in the fucking area of these enemies at this point. I digress, though.
And it's also just like a representation of power corrupts absolutely, in the sense that anyone who is carrying it and or around it will get corrupted. by its evil.
And going back to the extended cut, the fact that they did not include in the original theatrical of him getting shot with arrows in the water when he originally gets the ring, feels like a complete robbery of the corruption that this ring represents in this film. Because the idea that he goes into the water, I'm sorry I say there's so many people in this movie I cannot remember these characters. But Adam, you're welcome to fill in the gaps as I go with this. But basically, the first person that gets the ring after taking it from Saruman,
it's Isildur.
Yeah, from Sauron. Is it Saruman?
Sauron.
Is Lee? Yeah, Sauron.
Sauron is
Sauron.
wizard played by
Sauron is the eye. Saruman is Christopher Lee.
Is Christopher Lee. Right. So the moment that he gets that ring from a battle where he basically chops it from his fingers and then puts it on, he needs to escape from the battlefield. So he dives into this nearby body of water. And when he dives into the water, the ring comes off and the orcs shoot him full of fucking arrows. And that's not in the theatrical, which is kind of crazy to me because
you see his body with arrows in his back floating down.
Yeah, but you don't see the actual impact. I feel like the actual impact, the actual scene of it happening and whatnot is really powerful.
And then also the narration of the ring betrayed him.
Yeah. Yeah. I think honestly what won me over in regards of realizing, this is a good movie. So this is where it's been tough for me is I'm in that phase of my life to where I have to distinguish the fact that I have Letterboxd, but I also have movies I love. And therefore, the movies that I love cannot all be 5 stars. Some of them and most of them will be. I can't help that. But Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, I gave it a 4-star experience because I was just like, no, this is genuinely a great film. The achievement that this film is and everything is absolutely, easy to look at from both the history of it, the production of it, and everything. But more so, what I'm saying to bring this back to this scene, you need to understand the devastation that this ring causes. And I'm not saying that you don't get that from the actual interpretation of both the synopsis and the literature and whatnot. No, I get that. But as a person coming into this movie the first time, I genuinely, and I know I'm saying that word a lot in this podcast, but it's just this kind of really hit with me at a certain point to where it was okay, you are showing me both the corruption and the demise that this ring can bring, which I guess I really never latched onto as somebody that had only seen Fellowship and then picked up the story from the PS2 games. It's weird to say that as it's Lord of the fucking Rings, but at the same time, it's kind of interesting that they would choose to cut that because you are seeing the soul leave its body from the fact of the greed floating in front of it, literally.
I think what Peter Jackson. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, but what I got through of the original Fellowship book, it represents that by telling you the entire tale of Gollum.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously we don't get that in Fellowship. We get that in Two Towers.
But again, in the extended, we get more of him that really does, again, kind of bring this full circle if you kind of know that stuff. The one thing that I really did enjoy this go-round was diving into the fact of that he is still in the story, but we're not going to get there yet. He is the ultimate tease, and the fact that I don't know sincerely what was cut of him from the theatrical to the extended, I really liked the fact that his presence was there because I feel like, I mean, I'm going to go ahead and say this, I feel like in the top 3 to 5 popular characters of LOTR, Gollum is probably 3, and there's no way to move that stone.
Yeah.
He's in I did rewatch the theatrical cut because when it comes to the Lord of the Rings, I like the extended editions as what if time and studio notes and all of the political stuff that goes
to this day. I've never seen Donnie Darko theatrical. I've only seen the director's cut. That's all I've watched. So yeah,
there are movies which the director's cut is I think like Blade Runner, for example. But Or Brazil, or Donnie
you mean
Darko,
the
but
5 cuts of Blade Runner, or are we just talking about those first 3 within the first 2 decades of its release?
no, the
No.
original director's cut. And I
Yeah.
think that's like when we're getting into the final cut. I mean, no disrespect to Sir Ridley, but I mean at that point we're just masturbating.
And
So
there's some that do, and there's some that do. I mean, there are some
Sure.
that. So I'm gonna go on record. Blade Runner is
Yeah.
a movie I've seen once in my life, and I don't know if that'll ever change.
Interesting. We'll deal with that another day. For now, just look, I like the theatrical cut. I as it goes on in like the Two Towers and the Return of the King, I especially latch onto the theatrical cut more because there is like an economy of storytelling. In the Fellowship, your point about Gollum is really, really good in the way it uses Gollum because he's in 3 scenes. There's the flashback to when Bilbo finds the ring.
Right.
In the cave, where you see you see him in shadow, and hear him, scream.
You hear him scream about the ring. Yeah.
You see the bits and pieces that
he's tortured in
flesh-
Mordor. Yeah.
Yeah, he's tortured in Mordor,
And he's following them through the mines of Mora, and where Gandalf has this like,
Gandalf is
Frodo
he's following us.
Yeah, and Frodo's like, well, why didn't I wish Bilbo had just killed him, and Gandalf lays out this like important life lesson. It's like, well, sometimes it's more humanity in not killing someone even if they deserve it, as opposed to killing someone because they deserve it.
Yeah.
So it's really, really good about introducing this character is going to be very, very important in future chapters in ways that makes him feel in the story, but not. I have a feeling like if Lord of the Rings were to be made today, like for the first time in film, like Gollum would be just in there. You would get like these like cuts to Gollum from Gollum's perspective as he's following them in the cave. I'm
gonna give a perfect current example. It's amount of Pennywise they used recently in Welcome to Derry that people were not expecting.
Okay, I haven't watched Welcome to Derry yet, but interesting.
Yeah.
He didn't. Pennywise did not show up until episode 5 of a 8-episode series.
Wow,
yeah,
that is restraint.
Yeah.
That is restraint in the year 2025.
And that's what I'm saying. It's just like because he is again. I have not seen the movie ever in its entirety. He is all over Two Towers because he basically becomes a character because they find him along the path. Correct.
Right. I mean, because spoiler alert: Frodo and Sam continue on to Mordor.
What? No, bro. I thought they were just all gonna rescue Merry and Pippin, and then there was just gonna be a musical dance number. Are you kidding me? What?
I wouldn't discount the musical dance number.
No. We gotta get the talking trees in there though for that. I mean,
talking trees, yes,
number.
and so I mean, Gollum enters the picture at a moment where Sam and Frodo are particularly vulnerable, being hobbits alone on the road to Mordor. So that does make a lot of sense. Yeah, the use of Gollum. I also think because they hadn't fully appreciated how they would realize Gollum as an effect and as a creature. I think that if I remember correctly, that took some time to work out as well. So I mean, that's another interesting thing is all these movies are made at once in the name of efficiencies, but they're still kind of figuring them out as they're being made too. And I think you sort of see that.
But I love that too because you're never going to see that again. We've reached an age of cinema. This is never going to happen again, and that's kind of one of the things that is really interesting about Lord of the Rings. Is I feel like, and maybe I'm talking about my ass here, and I apologize if I am, but I feel like the popularity for these films has kind of sunk a little bit in the last 5 years or so.
I think my main issue with Lord of the Rings as it has affected the movie landscape in general. Fantasy as a genre has not when you do the grandfather of all fantasy like Lord of the Rings in cinema. It's only a downward spiral from there.
Well, off mic, we were talking about the popular merger deal going on right now between who is going to get Warner Brothers, essentially.
Yeah.
And, you take into the account that Amazon did this show that was what fans had, and I say this lightly, what fans had requested and, said they wanted for forever. And I've genuinely heard that Rings of Fire is laughable.
The Rings of Power show, I couldn't get through the first fucking episode.
Yeah.
I have no desire to watch it at all.
And it's hilarious that like you have this very strong set of 3 films that really hit.
What makes it crazy is that with Rings of Power, everything feels fake, even though I know it's real.
That's so interesting because I think it's a fault that started with Hobbit movies. Now I haven't watched the Hobbit movies since they came out, but I mean I remember just like sitting there and it's like you're trying to capture lightning in a bottle using like the Hobbit wasn't built for
movies. How is it? I've seen the book. I've held the book up compared to Lord of the Rings, and I've been like, "How did we get 3 movies out of you?"
Yeah,
how exactly?
I own a fan cut that is about 2.5 hours, and it just mashes everything into a 2.5 hour movie.
I have heard through the grapevine that
it is a very good cut.
Is the essential way to view it. And that also is something that is kind of crazy for me because, I mean, it's not. It's not dumb to say these movies were a phenomenon. They were a phenomenon at the time they came out.
And heck, as in January, they're gonna re-release these for the 25th
in theaters. Yeah, and you know what's interesting to me is the phenomenon that he's created. I remember. I mean, I was there. We all were there for that matter. And that's why I'm saying it's just like I feel like Rings of Power. It's kind of like with Beetlejuice. I'm a huge Beetlejuice fan. I was really excited for Beetlejuice. I was just like, this could be really fun. I was very realistic though. When and again, just my opinion, when my suspicions got confirmed that this was a member berries on top of member berries, I was just like, I don't know if I even want this to exist now. Like, and it's weird saying that, but like, I've heard that same fucking sentence from people about Rings of Power. It's just like, this is everything that we asked for years that we said, like, you know, was never going to be possible. And now that we have it, it's just like, shit, I'd rather watch the original trilogy.
It does make me wonder about the same fate for the Harry Potter HBO series too, because I remember having a conversation with someone back in the day that's like, they should just take the books and turn those into scripts. And I'm like, well, you're going to get that. And I think you're going to be profoundly unsatisfied when you see
I
it.
think the problem, I mean, and we can go ahead and just bite this apple right in the ass.
There's a reason
Go ahead.
why. There's a reason why they want to do that. Why JK specifically wants to do this. She wants to erase everyone that has
supported trans. I mean, we can go ahead and fucking say it. It's fine. But
she wants to erase the original cast, who is all denounced her.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I mean, you know, shifting away from that topic, it is one thing to. Can you imagine if it's just like HBO presents Fellowship of the Ring, a 12-part series? Like, I would literally look.
I would not watch it.
Yeah, no. I would be like, I don't have 462 million hours. I just don't. I can't fit in it. Like, I would see that and be like, oh shit. And it's hilarious too because bringing back Welcome to Derry. I feel like did it really well because it's just like, here's 8 episodes. That's going to be the era right before we get into It Chapter 1. And then we're going to go back and then we're going to go back again. And I'm like, okay, I'm fine with that. With Lord of the Rings, this original trilogy, starting with Fellowship, I know this world. I know these characters. I know what the goal is. And to be perfectly honest, I enjoyed the ride. It's... Again, not something, you know, I would go back to, but I think the lore that is here and what has been created and what has been laid about is really easy to get into. And it's also these performances. I mean, for fuck's sake, this is a nearly 25-year-old movie. And the performances that we have here, I don't know if we're going to get them in future projects. And I don't know if that's cynical of me to say or if it just... kind of being a little bit weary of the current film.
You cannot replicate Viggo Mortensen just exuding cool.
Yeah.
Like you just like from moment one, I'm like, oh, this guy's a badass.
Yeah.
He wasn't supposed to be Aragon originally. Who was originally cast as Aragon? I can't remember off the top of my head.
I forget.
I can't. Again, you're asking the wrong person on that. My initial performance that really grabbed onto me. I mean, obviously, Ian McKellen is Gandalf. Stand out. There's nothing that you can say about that. It was more so like, and this might be morbid to say, but man, seeing Christopher Lee on a screen again and performing to a point where it's just like, shit, in just a few years he's gonna be Willy Wonka's father. Like, it was just like,
but also
shit, like, I remember seeing him.
This was one of his dream projects, kind of thing.
He literally instructed Peter Jackson on how to stab people properly because he did it in the war.
And he also knew Tolkien.
He knew Tolkien, and maybe that's also something that needs to be said is that we've already mentioned it earlier that like Tolkien is tough to read. Tolkien was a spirit that unfortunately will not ever exist in the same form it did on this earth plane, whatever you want to believe for that matter.
Yeah.
It is Tolkien had a presence of knowing the environment, knowing these characters, knowing his beliefs, and putting that into this to an extent of expanding the lore of the grounds he laid. And I mean, in the age of, going back to Legend again and like those movies that were coming out, Lord of the Rings definitely did stand out. I mean, can you imagine the 1980s, like Lord of the Rings, or even for that matter, 1970s? Like, it would have been really weird. And we have the cartoon movies, the Bakshi stuff and everything, and those are awesome.
Yeah.
But I more so mean like a live action. Like, this was something that people had not ever thought was going to be possible.
Yeah.
It comes out of the perfect time. Like the technology has emerged just far enough. Like they're watching the early scenes of like the battle of the final battle where Sauron is defeated, and you see like the digital armies on the cliff sides, and you can see the pixels straining in some of those scenes.
You can see the seams.
You can see the seams, but there's still something I feel like the Nazgul is something that would probably be completely CGI'd now, and with given CGI cloaks that move, and
Do we know when
they would look like fucking Dementors?
Yeah, that's right.
Did production start like back in 90, 98, 99?
I think so.
I believe it was 98. It was like summer of 98 or summer of 99.
So I'm going to go ahead and make this statement, and if I'm wrong, I'll be wrong. But I would honestly say that I fully believe that Stephen Sommers' The Mummy laid the ground for Lord of the Rings to run.
Yes.
Because, I mean, Sommers comes out with that in 99. We get this in 2001.
I'm sure Jackson looked at that and said, okay, we are 100% ready to go.
So yeah, no, that was one of the things that I really like came into mind with while watching this. It was just like, I watched this on a 4K, print and whatnot. Watched it on digital 4K or whatnot. And again, had not seen this in 20 years. There were parts that were just like, oh, that effect is hokey and whatnot. But for the most part, I was entertained.
Yes.
I didn't have a point where it was just like, man, that looks bad, or oh, like I can totally like see where like, the lines are or whatnot. Like, I didn't care about that because I thought the story was so engrossing to a point where it was just like, I really love this environment.
For me, there was like maybe one or two effects where I'm like, okay, that's a little dated. But
even the fucking fire dragon firework, like that looked, if I could have that firework,
great.
If I could launch that once in my life, I could die happy. Like, if I am at a party and I just go out back with a lighter and I just suddenly shoot a firework dragon off into the air and my friends are just like cheering, oh, I could die happy, man. Like, that was really, again, like going back to like how much they delve into the Shire in this one. That was a really cool thing to watch the community of the Shire, to understand that when the danger starts encroaching, when we see, sorry, somebody correct me, what are they called? The demons on horse?
The Nazgul.
The Nazgul, yeah. When the Nazgul starts riding out and, are getting close to Shire and Gandalf is like, Frodo, where the fuck did you put that ring at? You like,
Yeah.
maybe not those exact words, but that's basically the gist of it. But no, like, it was just like, I was enthralled in the environment because I got to kind of live with those people for a bit. And to be perfectly honest, like, Bilbo Baggins is a bit of a dick.
Oh, yeah.
Mm.
Yep. Bilbo's a jerk.
Hosting a party and being like, never liked any of ya, and now I'm gonna disappear.
Also,
Wow.
before that, and he's like, they're having a party for my birthday. It's kind of a pain in the ass. Like, a bunch of people are coming here I hate.
Yeah.
It was basically he walks up on stage, fuck all y'all
of you, and
Peace.
I'm out.
I'm finally leaving this jerkwater town. You'll never see me again. I won't miss any of you. Maybe Frodo.
So, Adam, I have to ask, as somebody that's read the book, the Mines of Moria sequence. Is there more information in regards to the fact that, like, Gimli has not been there in 20 plus fucking years, apparently, because we have skeletons here?
Yeah, I don't remember exactly, but I mean, the thing the movie does play very, I don't want to say fast and loose, but it does paper over the fact that a lot of time passes over the course of the film
of the
when
journey
compared to the book. Yeah, like years go by between when Bilbo leaves the Shire and Gandalf comes back with this revelation about what the ring actually is.
That totally tracks.
Yeah, so there's a lot of there's a lot of futzing with how much time has gone by.
Well, because that's what was funny was watching the movie was, and again, I remembered this because like this is a pretty heavy scene for both the action and just the suspense it builds up. But Gimli being like, "There's gonna be meat off the bone, and we'll all have showers and all this stuff," and it's just like you get there and you're just like, "Bro, how long's it been since you've been here? Like it's a tomb. Like, were you just here yesterday? Because if so, we got a really serious problem. Or also, your fucking memory does not hold up."
And I think it's implied that this is, you definitely see this in The Hobbit too, which focuses a great deal on the dwarves and their sort of interconnectivity, that they're not great at keeping in touch. And I mean, this is also a very big world as well, where it's hard to keep the most powerful ring in the world in your pocket without without it getting lost in a riverbed for 2,000 years. So,
well, and like that whole intro again, where they explained the creation of the ring, we'll say, that delves so much more in the extended cut that again, and I kind of really latched onto the lore of the ring this go round.
Yeah, I think because we are, specifically because we're older now, I think we can parse a lot more than we did when these movies came out and we were like 10 friggin' years old.
Yeah. Well, and like I say that knowing that if you handed me this trilogy and said you have to pick one film to watch and then you're going to die, like, I know that's a very drastic point to like make, but like knowing what I know, having not even seen the two other films in their entirety, I'm going with Return of the King, because not only is it the conclusion, of the series that I've heard and seen for the most part, like is great, but also everything's laid out already. That said, you have to have these first films, and Fellowship does a really good job of laying everything out to a point where I have no complaint really on what I'm supposed to know going into the next film and being amped for going into the next film.
I think that's one of the great gifts of these films is that, I mean, they are all connected. They're three parts of the same story, but they are also all uniquely self-contained too. With, this is a movie called The Fellowship of the Ring. It doesn't begin with the Fellowship coming together, but it's building up the world and it's building up the mission, and then the Fellowship comes together, and it ends with the Fellowship breaking apart and going off on their own unique journeys. Then you pick up with the Two Towers, and there's a very specific rhythm to that, and it's essentially about like things are falling apart, and how do you find the strength to persist and know that goodness can win out? And it's a film about, or the story I should say, it's about, can your hope, can your optimism be rewarded when it gets to the end of well, obviously we'll talk about Two Towers, but like there is a beat in the Two Towers that I really really like. I find is a little hopeful, a little positive, that in this moment where you think everything is gone, you find the strength, but we have this one more chance, this one last chance, and maybe it will all come together, and it can all work out, and good can triumph. And
Feels like the opposite of Empire Strikes Back. Just gonna say that right off the bat.
Yeah.
no, it's a little bit, but the running time of Two Towers, it's like 2.5 hours of like, this can't possibly get any worse, and it keeps getting worse, and then there is this uptick at the end. I think that's why Two Towers is like maybe my favorite. That might be a controversial take.
I feel like that is generally the favorite, though. Am I not wrong?
I think I've always believed I'm the weirdo liking the middle one.
Well, because
I think
is Return the favorite?
I think a lot of people like Fellowship,
Yes.
and I think people have issues with the way Return of the King just doesn't want to fucking end.
Oh, you mean the four official endings we get, and then the actual ending?
There's also a pile up at the beginning as they're trying to sort out a lot of the stuff carried over from Two Towers.
Great. I'm gonna watch the extended cut of both these movies.
It's a rough first 30 minutes of Return of the King and a rough last 30 minutes of Return of the King. But again, this is I haven't watched these in 10 years. So I'll be interested to see how that works.
I really hope that Mike listens to this episode before he joins us for the next one, because I feel like we ourselves have made a fellowship in this episode of where we stand on these movies.
Yeah. In a very weird way, you are correct.
Well, like, he's going to be coming in like Gollum next episode, is what you're saying.
So I've got to say, like, one thing I really did want to kind of go into a little bit is I feel like with the battle sequences in this film, if you cut those out just by themselves and said, hey, would you want to watch this movie? At least 60 to 70% of people would say yes, because this is a cinematic carnage that we don't get anymore. And I hate saying that, but
because
it's
real.
It's real.
Yes.
Guys in orc costumes.
It's a degree of practical and SFX, but being used to value both. And you have to have that. Because I mean, I'm a huge indie film nerd. Like, I love watching, young filmmakers and new filmmakers make their stuff. There has been just an uptick recently with stuff to where it's just like, I know what you were going for, but I wish I could see this movie 10 years ago.
Yep.
And with Lord of the Rings, that was one thing I really latched onto was, again, we are old guys at this point. We can go ahead and say that. It's fine. This is a movie that we were there for. We remember when it came out. We remember what the big deal it was. We remember how people thought it was never going to happen. And seeing what actually was created, what people latched onto, what fans latched onto, I absolutely understand why people love these movies.
Yeah.
It's remarkable because it was long considered unfilmable. I mean, even the Bakshi movies, which were animation, like, could only get through like 2 of the 3 books.
2.5.
Yeah.
2.5-ish. Yeah. I mean, again, it was mentioned, like, Peter Jackson's intestine. He does these like over the top horror movies. He does Heavenly Creatures. He does The Frighteners. There's nothing in there that said he had this in him.
Heavenly Creatures has been criminally forgotten, and that film is exceptionally disturbing and prolific in its dissection of both lesbian relationships and homicide.
Yeah.
I would agree, and I think like Frighteners has its faults, but it also has a lot of charm too.
I love Frighteners. I really
Yeah.
hope someday we get the 4.5 hour cut that he's hinted at, because he said he does have it. And I would watch because dude, if you're gonna give me an hour of John Aston's cowboy ghost backstory, oh, I'm
Yeah.
so fucking in.
Yeah, no, I'm there too. It's interesting after having recently watched like the Springsteen movie,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is also about how he was inspired by the tale of Starkweather in a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fascinating because there was just so like, could he do it? And Fellowship was, and there was a lot of talk at the time. I mean, I'm old enough to remember the talk around Titanic. This was a movie that is going to kill two
Man.
studios. And it was the same thing. It's like, this is Peter Jackson. This is the house that Freddie built.
Yeah.
Meaning New Line Cinema. It's
Oh, I love you. You just said that to somebody that started and completed a Freddy's Nightmares podcast and talked about all that stuff. No,
Right.
I love you for knowing that.
But there were so many question marks, and then it's December 2001. I think people were just ready. They were ready, and part of it I think was the aftermath of 9/11. I think part of it was just a move to like these massive event movies, like doing things on scales not done before.
This was a big gamble for New Line. You mentioned New Line, and
Yeah.
this was a big gamble for them
Absolutely.
because, like, for the most part,
They
all
bet
their
the
chips.
entire studio on
All
it.
their
Basically.
chips.
what did Jackson done before this? Had he done Frighteners before this? He had to have, right?
In 96, yeah.
Yeah, so 96 Frighteners, so then he has done those movies and what? Yeah, I mean, Heavenly Creatures and Frighteners, and then this is a big gamble, and goddamn, are they happy they took it?
Yeah, I mean, so happy they tried to do it again with The Hobbit, but
which apparently was successful. We got 3 fucking movies out of a book that
they were $3 billion movies. But I mean, I may get into it at some point. But I remember watching those Hobbit movies and thinking like his heart is just not in it the same way.
I'm going to
Peter
tell
Jackson.
you that I think Mike has hinted that we are possibly who wants to is going to touch on the Hobbit films. If I decide to do that, my girlfriend has already said you're on your own. That's a Lord of the Rings fan saying that.
That is amazing.
You're talking to someone that when the final Hobbit movie came out, me and my buddy, we spent the entire day at the movie theater watching both the first 2 Hobbits extended and the final one in IMAX.
How
did you see that at Abu
feel?
Ghraib? Is that how you saw that? You were in Abu Ghraib? Is that
Nope.
How did your ass feel after that experience? Because I sat through Hunger Games and Hunger Games Catching Fire in a double feature, and I was just like, man, I'm sore.
Dude,
I can't imagine.
I've spent an entire, literally my New Year's Day for the last, this will be like the 8th year that I'm doing it. I just go to the movies and spend the entire day there.
I love that. No, I love that because
I've done Best Picture showcases where I've seen 5 movies in a single day.
Oh hell yeah! No, so I'm gonna like bringing this back to Lord of the Rings for the experience that the film is. I love the theater because it is the absolute isolation point to where you can watch a movie and really watch a movie. You can't get on your phone unless you want to be an asshole. If you get up and go to the bathroom, you can't be like, projectionist, please pause. I have to pee.
Pause.
You can't do that. Yeah, you can't do that. So I mean, you literally have to make the sacrifices of both focusing on the film and like I'm gonna be perfectly honest for a second. You have to be able to let your brain know you're watching a movie.
Yeah.
And that is something that I think a lot of people have lost. So the fact that you, and I know you as somebody that I've done the show with for a year now and years plus now, and also follow on Letterboxd, I know that you enjoy your movies for what they do. So the fact that you can go into Solidation and just sit for 5 hours in a theater and take that in makes me really happy. Going back to Lord of the Rings on that, this is definitely a movie that you're going to have a different experience in theaters versus at home. And I know it's easy to say that, but it's not, because the movie. The movies that you can literally be like, I could catch this on like, cable, or I could rent this one night and like have still as much fun with it as I could in theaters. This is an experience that you really need to feel. And
this year I got a new TV. It's Dolby Vision. It's as best of a TV I can get for the money that I paid for.
Oh, Adam, listening to Mr. Moneybags over here.
I know, poor little rich boy.
Dude,
it was like this. It's the most money I've ever spent on something. Trust me.
I get it. No, but I get it. Real quick, my buddy who has also been on the show multiple times, Enrique Couto, he gave me a TV a while back that I bought off him over a collection of payments and whatnot. And then that TV died within a year of having it. So recently, in this past year, he gave me his newest TV because he got another one, and he was just like, "Don't pay me for this one. Like, I feel bad. Like that TV should have treated you better." So the fact that I have a 4K 42-inch in my living room, and can sit there with my Christmas tree on and watch Die Hard with just the Christmas tree and a thing of scotch. No, I get it. Like, there is a comfort for being at home. But there's also a difference of going to a theater.
Oh yeah, no, it's a completely different beast. Theater. Like, I've experienced a couple of movies that I've watched at home, and I've come and seen it. Like a couple of years ago, I got to see Lawrence of Arabia on big screen for the first time ever, and that I was like, I'm not missing this for the fucking world.
Did you pee once during the filming or during the watching of that?
Yeah, I peed during the intermission. What do you think?
Yeah, there is an intermission.
No. That doesn't count. That's not what I meant. And you know that.
No, I did not.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Can hold it in control, but yeah, no, I've had this experience this year, like going to I saw Jaws in the theater for the first time, and I've seen Jaws 100 times.
Same. I saw it at the drive-in this year, and that was the best.
It is, it's a completely different experience. Like when she's attacked, like the first scene, she's attacked, and you get the surround sound, like it hits completely.
Or
you know she's gonna die, but it like the sound in the theater of her being like killed by the shark hits completely different in the theater.
There are things you will never. There are things you will never pick up unless you're seeing it in a theatrical experience.
Yeah.
So ironically enough, the same day my girlfriend and I watched Lord of the Rings, we also had watched Jaws that evening. And I was sitting with her in bed, or laying with her in bed, and literally we get to Chrissy with the like underground shot right before the shark comes up, and she's just like, "You can see everything." I was just like, "Yeah, babe, they did not expect this to be in 4K at any point." But what's hilarious too is the shark looks fucking amazing in that movie too. Yeah. Like, even though that it is a 100% fake shark, I have multiple books on the making of it, the movie and the shark, and I'm just like, I still believe that shark is fucking real in that movie.
Yeah, it's true.
There's a tangibility to it, and that's what I think. Even these Lord of the Rings movies, there's tangibility to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, like, I mean, go ahead.
You can feel it, and I don't think I've ever experienced a movie like Fellowship and the Lord of the Rings movies. The last time I experienced that was with Way of Water, with Avatar, because I still haven't
seen it.
I have never experienced a movie where I know it's CG.
Mm-hmm.
But I can feel the creatures. I can feel the texture of the movie with just CG, and it's crazy.
Well, I mean, it's
for the first time.
I remember seeing Avatar opening night and the experience of that movie, and I haven't seen Avatar since. I've only seen it that one time in the theater.
Tangent, obviously, but
Avatar
came out. I mean, for me specifically, Avatar came out on my 18th birthday.
Oh wow!
It came out December 19th of that year, and that was my 18th birthday, and
Was
my
it
buddy
2010?
2009.
2009.
Shit. Okay.
Yeah. So my buddy and he brought me with his family to go see Avatar in IMAX, sold out show, and I walked out going, that was an experience I don't think I'm ever going to forget, and I still have not.
So I've never actually seen a theatrical film in IMAX. I've only seen shorts and whatnot that they had at the
again
museum and whatnot.
Because of where you live, obviously.
Well, we have.
I am very, very fucking lucky. I know I'm very
about
fucking
45 minutes is what it would take for me to get to a theatrical IMAX screening. It's not far. It's just I guess Jaws was definitely one that I contemplated on, but nothing has really gotten me there. Like I don't know what IMAX movie is going to break me. Like if they say The Crow in IMAX, which is never going to happen. Yeah, I would do that. I'm actually surprised that I wasn't more adamant on Jaws and IMAX, but I just felt like seeing it at the drive-in spoke more to me.
Yeah, drive-in is definitely an experience.
This wasn't really made for IMAX.
I'm happy you said that, Adam. That's kind of what I was trying to say.
I'm lucky in the sense that New Jersey has one of the states with the most IMAX screens in the country. I believe we have 6 or 7. But IMAX to me is I love the IMAX experience. Again, I'm an AMC A-lister. I don't have to pay the extra fees for that.
Oh, Adam,
stuff.
Adam, look a little rich boy again.
To be fair, it saves me so much fucking.
Bro,
saves me so much money.
I am the biggest mooch off of Enrique's Cinemark Club points that anytime he goes up and gets his concession, I'll be like, yeah, I'll take a popcorn. Do you have Cinemark? I use his. No, I feel you. I think what's interesting too, going back to Lord of the Rings, is that is something that I even asked my girlfriend Sydney. I asked her, I was like, would you want to go see them? She's like, well, I've seen them. So I don't know if I would really want to go back to it. And it's kind of like that same thing. It's just the fact that she has those memories, maybe she doesn't want to touch them and she's completely happy watching at home. Me now having seen this first one, I've been like, maybe I would be down for at least one or two of these theatrically, if not all three. It's just I was kind of really surprised. Again, as I said at the beginning of the show, I will not watch these again on my own accord. I'm not going to be laying on my couch, my feet up one night and be like, Lord of the Rings Fellowship. It's just not going to happen. And there's no offense to the movie on that. It's more so, it's just I haven't.
There's an investment. You don't just throw it on because.
Yeah, I haven't reached that point with it yet, and I'm hoping that maybe these other films will kind of make me do that. But it's just overall, though, I had a great time with this.
And to speak to Sydney's experience, about her ambivalence about going back, I'm old enough to remember when the special editions of Star Wars came out in '97. I was in high school.
I still have my Return of the Jedi golden VHS tape, literally right behind me right now.
As do I, but I saw them in the theaters when they were released.
My mom took us to New Hope, at least. I remember that much.
I own the good DVDs.
So do I, actually. I have
Nice.
the laser disc transfer to the DVD of the original.
We've already dragged streaming services real quick, Adam. We'll go back.
Yes.
We already dragged streaming services this episode. I just want to add, the fuck Disney Plus. How are you not just going to go ahead and throw the original Prince up at this point? Seriously.
Supposedly, the rumor is that they're coming very
50th.
soon.
Yeah, they're coming for the 50th.
Took them long enough. Just going to say that.
No, for sure.
Well,
and I
mean, the stopgap was Lucas.
They
Let's
fixed the fucking Simpsons entire series in less time than it took to be like, well, we have these files of the original cuts. Yeah, just put them on the junk drive for now. Nobody wants those.
I will co-sign the members' legislation. But
that's the let's be honest. Star Wars is in a very bad shape, and that's their big red button.
Yeah,
that's right. But
Big red button's a great way to put that. Holy shit. I've never heard that term for that series, and that is absolutely accurate.
But I remember going to and it was like I'd never seen a Star Wars movie on the big screen. I was so excited, and but leaving it, and maybe it's because it's like if the special edition is. I was never like someone who was really angry about the changes. It's just like, oh, that's kind of interesting, I guess. But there was
it was
something...
more so the Greedo thing. That's the only thing I know. That's like the most nitpicky thing. But like having seen it recently of Han shooting first, like it really does add impact.
I mean, as someone who's like come along in their cinephilia, I will concede the point. But there was something about after all that time going to the movie theater and seeing this thing I'd seen 100 times. Having said that, had a great time in Jaws, and maybe it's because I'm older now and have a greater appreciation for these. I saw 7 in the movie theater earlier this year, and
nice.
At the end, I was on the edge of my seat. I knew exactly beat for beat how that ending turns out, but I was locked in when the delivery driver shows up. So
yeah, I think with 7, I saw it the IMAX release, but the sound,
little rich boy.
This is going to be a running joke, isn't it?
Pretty much. Thank you, Adam.
You're welcome.
But the sound the sound of it all is what really...
Oh yeah. Well,
that's
was
Fincher's
anyone
great gifts,
was anyone lucky enough to catch Jaws 3D?
No.
Okay, dudes, if it ever comes back again, I don't care if you have to cut off a finger, go see it, because you may think like, oh, it's going to be cheesy and whatnot. No, that was an experience that I have never been able to recreate again, because there is just so much detail in that film, from the 3D print, from the glasses and everything, but also you are there. You're fucking there.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, keep an eye out for that. That and I'm not saying like, oh my god, the shark jumps in your lap. No, like I was never able to like read the etchings on the orca. And with that 3D print, like you can read every single fucking speck of that boat.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's crazy.
I can be persuaded for a Jaws 3D reevaluation.
Yeah.
I was listening to the rewatchables of Jaws 2, and I was like, you know what? Maybe that one wasn't so bad.
I like 2. I have no problem with 2. But going back to Lord of the
2
Rings.
has its moments. Back to Lord of the Rings.
Yes. Back to Lord of the Rings. I think we have exhausted what we can of talking about Fellowship here.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, one more note.
Go ahead.
Stuart Townsend was originally cast as Aragorn.
Oh,
okay.
Shit, that makes sense. So, okay, actually, like since you mentioned that real quick, the one thing that I really want to mention from Elijah Wood on this viewing, Frodo kind of sucks for the first hour. Like, and I'm not saying that to be mean. It's more so, it's just like you're literally putting yourself in danger and you don't fucking realize it. Like you're just like, let's go on an adventure, and then when he gets
innocence, innocence of that character is very clear.
And I like that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't mean like when I say sucks, like I don't mean it negatively. It's more so it's just like you don't understand what Gandalf is asking, you fucking piece of shit hobbit. Like, listen to him. Like, this is a ring that will get you killed. Like, you're just like, trying to gallivant with your friends in the forest. And then once that like initial stab happens and we meet the elf and everything, like that was something that was just like, whoa, okay. Like,
I mean, that's Tolkien's World War I experience coming out.
Yeah,
like, there was an entire
100%,
generation of young men who went into that war thinking it was going to be a great adventure and it was going to be a life affirming. They were going to get some medals and they'd be heroes of the Empire. And they spent 5 years in mud and torment. And
I've watched that terrible Tolkien biopic movie.
I've heard how awful it is, and I am not at all surprised because it's just like it's really going to be like
it's a beautiful score. But
yeah,
that's
but
about
if you're going
it.
to be like, one day I saw tanks and I was just like, what if they were dragons? I was just like, wow.
Yeah, it's a little on the nose. By the way, has anyone, this came out today as we're recording, has anyone seen the trailer for Jimmy starring Hot Archie from Riverdale as Jimmy Stewart?
I've
I
not,
saw
but
I
I'm
saw
going to
a
have to.
5-second clip. I
watching
no
watching
words.
KJ Appa do Jimmy Stewart in the bar scene from It's a Wonderful Life. Mwah.
Oh my
Mm.
god.
I can't wait to Mystery Science 3000 that.
And with that, I think we have exhausted all we can of this episode.
Now, before we get out of here, Ken, I just want to illustrate to the viewers how much of a fucking hassle that it was to put this episode together, only on my behalf of my computer being a complete and total twat for about the first hour that we were supposed to start recording. So the fact that we have now spent over an hour talking about Fellowship when I thought that I was going to have to write "I'm sorry" in the chat until Christmas at this point. Yeah, no, I think we're good.
No,
Yeah.
this worked out really well, I think.
I think so too.
Yeah. Good luck to Mike editing this.
I'm
But-
sure he'll keep the important bits.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously join us by the time you listen to this, we'll probably have Toot Towers come out sometime in the new year while TWIG is on their break throughout the month of most of January. But overall, you can follow me, Ken Reels, pretty much everywhere. Letterboxd. I will be obviously doing a lot of stuff. I'm in the process of finalizing my best of the year list. It's not 100% complete because I don't fully commit to completing the list until the very last day of the year.
You're one of those, yeah.
Yes. Though most of my top 5 is set in stone at this point. And I'm just in the process of adding notes and writing the little blurbs that I do every year.
I'm just gonna incorporate here why I laugh so hard at Adam's. You're one of those. Is I have recently watched Die Hard and Die Hard 2, and I don't know what it is about Hans coming forward with his American accent, but oh god, you're one of them. That's what my brain immediately went to. So that is a Christmas addition into your wrap up. Go ahead, Ken.
There's a lot of stuff that's still on the docket for me to watch before the end of the year. I'm saving all of Del Toro's Frankenstein to the very last day of the year.
That and Wake Up Dead Man, I really am wanting to get off my watch list. But man, I'm also there's the thing with being cinephiles and it being close to Christmas time. We're also watching our favorite Christmas movies at this point, and with a week of Christmas left to go, it's just fuck.
Yeah, I still need to knock out my traditional rewatch of The Night Before.
Muppet Christmas Carol. I'm dying to revisit Muppet Christmas Carol and Scrooge. Those are the two that I'm really holding high right now on my list.
Yeah, Wonderful Life and the Alistair Sim Christmas Carol. Those are my annual revisits.
Is that the so real quick? Sorry to interrupt. Is that the one that they really spend little time on Christmas of Yet to Come? Is that the 1930s?
That is the shortest one. It's 50 something. It's early 50s. It's black and white. But the Christmas Future one is probably the shortest segment.
I've been making it a goal for the last I would say probably 5 years or so to watch a new version of Christmas Carol each year, and I'm thinking the 1938 one. Or wait, no, 1954. Yeah, no, that's the one I watched last year.
It's the 54 one.
Yeah. No, that was a really fun movie. That was really wholesome. I was really, because I've grown up with the George C. Scott one, so the Alistair Sims one was one that I was just oh, this is nice. Even when they got to Yet to Come, it was just oh, it's spooky, but it's not like as spooky as some of the other shit I've seen in some of the other Christmas carols. So no, that's a really good one.
There's it's odd the spookiest stuff in that version is not with the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come. The spookiest stuff is when Arlie's leading the lament of the two homeless people after he leaves Scrooge, and then the part where the Ghost of Christmas Present reveals the children Ignorance and Want who's under his cloak. Like those are the two creepiest parts of that film. Nothing to do with the Ghost of Christmas Future. Yeah.
Interjecting in there real quick about the reveal of the cloak. If you have not seen the George C. Scott one, that exact scene happens. And one time in a TV cut I was watching, they didn't show the children for some reason. So literally the Ghost of Christmas Present goes, "Look beneath my robe." And he just exposes himself to Scrooge, and they cut back to Scrooge. I was just like, bro, I know what you were trying to do, but you just did not do that.
Is there a cut of this somewhere? It's like it is on like some weird VHS, like The Hobbit hanging the Munchkin hanging in Wizard of Oz. You have to watch the very specific VHS version.
Oh god, yeah, that whole urban legend.
But yeah, for This Week in Geek, we have been
Adam A. Donaldson.
David Denoyer coming to you from Ohio with one final word on Lord of the Rings. If you are someone that has not delved into the Shire and gone on an adventure, now might be the time.
Don't forget your halflings leaf.
And you can also find me at Letterboxd David SWMA for David's Watching Movies Again.
Yep. And I'm at Ken Reels everywhere once again, and it's time we'll see you next time with Two Towers.
We're gonna take those fucking hobbits to Isengard. That's what the clothes should have been. I don't know. It was right there. I'm kidding.
Bye.
Are either one of these any good? Sir?
What?
Are either one of these any good?
I don't watch movies.
Quick! Change the channel!
You're wasting your life making shit! Nobody cares! These movies are terrible!
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.